All right. This is part whatever. I have no idea what part this is of this video. This might be part 3. I don't know. Who cares? We will continue with this video of our review of polynomials. And in this video, we're going to focus on completing the square and solving equations by taking square roots. Maybe a little factoring too. We'll see. We'll see how we feel. Let's start with number 20. All right, so we'll start with number 20, completing the square. Completing the square is that whole one where we do half the middle squared. It's that one, okay? We probably could factor this just as easily, but we have to do it the way the directions say. So don't factor it, which is a way of solving it. Complete the square. So for completing the square, we have to move this number out of the way. So let's add 12 to both sides, like so. So that's going to give us x squared plus 4x, leave a space, and that's equal to 12. So, Julia,
Hi.
what's going to be the number that completes the square?
2, 4, 4.
I like how she said 2, 4, because her brain was going half the middle, that's 2, and then she squared that, and then she said 4. So we're going to have a 4 there. Now listen carefully, because here comes the common mistake that every year I have like 5 students in every class make the same mistake. It's heartbreaking. Do you know what I'm going to say, Matt? Oh, I saw your hand up right then. What's that common mistake that I always say? Blurt it out. You have to add it to both sides. So many kids. I'll say that, and then I'll watch a kid immediately do it anyway. Okay? So because if we're adding 4 on the left side, then we got to definitely add 4 on the right side as well. So please do not make that mistake. Okay? So then we can continue. So this is now guaranteed to factor as the same thing twice. So this will factor as x plus 2 times x plus 2. And this is going to give us, on the right-hand side, 16. So if you still have a 12, you made the common mistake. Okay?
Okay, wait, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
When you do the x plus stuff, do you take the
Okay. So what do I do at this point, you guys?
X plus 2. No, you take the square root.
Use time to take the square root.
Oh,
Okay?
right.
Charles, are you watching? I feel like... Nicholas. Sorry, not Charles. I don't know the names of my kids. It's only the second day of school, so that's why I don't know your names. That's right. When you take the square root of both sides, make sure you go ahead and do plus or minus. Okay? So that's going to be... We're going to have x plus 2 is equal to plus or minus 4. Okay? All right. Justin, pay attention, buddy. We need to subtract 2 from both sides, but when you do, put it in the front.
always in the front?
If you have a plus or minus, add or subtract in the front. Okay? So then that's going to give us, so far we have x equals negative 2 plus or minus 4. Now this means negative 2 plus 4 or negative 2 minus 4. What's negative 2 plus 4?
2.
That's 2. What's negative 2 minus 4?
6. Negative 6.
Negative 6.
How did you get negatives?
How did you?
Wait, so those two are the answers, not the actual like.
These two are the answers. 2 or...
If you were to put 2 or negative 2 plus 4, that wouldn't be right.
Correct. That's wildly unfinished. You would not leave negative 2 plus 4. Right. I mean, this is math class. If you write down 2 plus 2 and just leave it like that, that's a problem. It's 4.
It's 5.
Yeah. Yeah, this is like, yeah, if there's a statement that you've been knowing how to solve since elementary school, go ahead and definitely do that for sure. All right, any other questions on this right here?
No. Until next time.
Okay, all right, let's get on to problem number 21. Okay, now we have options here. You can basically choose whichever method you feel like doing. But on number 21, there's really only one method that would be good. What do you think I'm going to do first?
Plus 40 on both sides.
Let's definitely add 40 on both sides. Okay, so this is going to give us x plus 2 squared is equal to 49. What next, guys?
Square.
Right, it's time to take that square root of both sides. Don't forget your...
Plus or minus.
Very good.
Very good, Demetria.
Okay, so that's going to give us x plus 2 is equal to plus or minus
7.
7. Okay, now what am I going to do next?
Minus 2.
And where do I put
Put
it?
it in the front.
Make sure you put it in the front before the plus or minus. Okay,
Wait, why wouldn't you subtract it though?
because it's not one number. Plus or minus 7 is two. Oh, you mean I am subtracting it? See the negative 2? I'm just putting it in front. So that gives us negative 2 plus 7 or negative 2 minus 7. But we definitely won't leave it like that. Okay? What's negative 2 plus 7? 5. What's negative 2 minus 7?
9. Negative 9.
Negative 9. So you would put 5 or negative 9. Okay? Any questions on number 21? Harrison. All right. Jorge, no restroom for you, my friend. All right. Number 22, I would definitely try to factor this, okay? You could complete the square if you wanted to, okay? But this time it said do whichever method you want. So you choose. Like this problem could be solved by doing half the middle squared or by normal factoring. I'm going to try doing it just by normal factoring. Okay? So x squared, that's x times x. 5 can only be 5 times 1. To get a positive 4, I need a positive 5 and a negative 1. That does give me negative 5 as well. A positive times a negative is a negative, so that works out. So I have factored it. Now, is this one where I just factor and stop, or is this one where I have to keep going and set them equal to 0? I got to keep going because, see the equal sign? That's how you know to keep going. And set these equal to 0. So I'll go x plus 5 equals 0. X. Oh yeah, you already have they have the homework. This is the homework. So subtracting 5 from both sides, that's going to give us x equals negative 5.
Yes.
Adding 1 to both sides, that's going to give us x equals 1. But thank you so much, Demetria. That's very helpful. I really appreciate that. Cállense. Okay, shh. That's number 22. Let me squeeze in a little number. 23. All right, look. Especially pay attention to this one and do not start shuffling. Do not click that. Leave it open. Leave it open. Good.
Do the problem.
I'm trying. Be still. This is slowing me down. I just did 22. All right. Please stop talking, you guys.
Seriously.
We need to subtract 28 from both sides. Okay? This one's going to be interesting. Watch it carefully. What's 4 minus 28? That's negative 24. Okay? It's going to come out as a negative radical. It's going to be imaginary. Okay? If I divide both sides by 2, okay, then I've got x squared equals negative 12. Okay? Now, I only mentioned this briefly like 3 weeks ago, so you probably forgot how to do it. So watch it very carefully. If you have a negative under a radical, it's going to come out as an I. So this problem is going to become x equals plus or minus I radical 12. Again, a negative under a radical simply becomes an I. That's all there is to it. Okay, anyway, then we have to just simplify radical 12. So somebody put radical 12 into your TI-30 XS multi-view and tell me what it says. Okay, the square root of 12 comes out to be 2 radical 3. Now what happened to the I, Mr. Burton, is what you're thinking? The I goes in the middle. Okay, so this would be the answer. And I would like you to write it separately as 2I radical 3 or negative 2I radical 3. All right, and we'll have to stop the video here. Okay, we'll pick up on the next video. We only have a couple more problems to do.
Who came up with Mr. Burton's cool?
All right, actually, I think I said that I was ending the video, but then I realized we only have one problem left, and this video is only 11 minutes long so far. So I am going to go ahead and finish this video now. So number 24 says, for each quadratic, find the vertex in standard form using opposite of b over 2a. Then use completing the square to convert the function to vertex form. Okay? So first we're supposed to find the vertex the way it is. So they told us to use opposite of b over 2a. Okay? So let's definitely go ahead and do that. So the x-coordinate of the vertex, if that's going to be the opposite of b over 2a, then just remember, a is 1, b is negative 8, and c is 11. So if I do the opposite of b over 2a, if b is negative 8, the opposite of b is positive 8. And then 2a, well, that's just 2 times 1, so that's just 2. So that's going to give me x equals 4. All right, so that tells me that 4 is the x-coordinate of the vertex. So that tells me that the vertex, all right, so the vertex is going to be 4 comma something. All I need to do is figure out the y value that goes with it. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this equation into my TI-30 XS multi-view. All right, so we put the equation in the calculator using the table function, and now we can see, and in fact, the x value that we found was 4. So it would be quicker if you just start at 4 immediately. Okay, so there it is, 4 comma negative 5. That must be our vertex. So that means the vertex is right here. It's 4 comma negative 5. Okay, so that's part of what we were supposed to do. But looking back at the directions, it also says, all right, it says find the vertex, then use completing the square to convert the function to vertex form. So now we're going to use completing the square to turn this into the other form. Now remember, vertex form is like this. It's the one that's shaped like this. It's like a x minus h squared plus k. This is what they mean by vertex form. So we're going to convert it from this ABC form, standard form, into with the parentheses squared and all that. Okay, so the way we will turn it into vertex form is by completing the square. So let me just recopy the problem. Okay, so we have f of x equals x squared minus 8x plus 11. Completing the square, that's that thing where you do half the middle squared. That's completing the square. So we need to get that 11 out of there, because that's not the right thing to do. So let's subtract 11 from both sides. So if you do that, then we have f of x minus 11 is equal to x squared minus 8x. Okay, so I've subtracted. What's going on, Vidal?
What's going on, Mr. Burke?
It's good to see you.
So funny on the video.
So completing the square. What is the number that completes the square? How do I find the number that completes the square? Anybody?
What's the date?
What do I do? Talk to me.
Wait, what's that?
How do we find that number that goes in this empty space?
You do half times square, yeah.
Right, we do half the middle and we square it. So 8's like the middle.
Okay.
So talk me through it.
So half of 8.
Half of 8.
It's 16.
Right, half of 8 is 4. And then square that, you get 16.
Yeah.
Okay? All right, so now be very, very careful because here comes the most common mistake that kids make all the time. So I need to add 16, all right, because that's the missing number. A lot of kids will just put 16 here and go on with the problem. You've got to remember to put it on both sides of the equation when you complete the square. Jake, question.
F of x and you did anymore?
Oh yeah, that f of x is not going away the entire time.
It's not going on?
It's not going away.
Oh.
Okay? So look what I have so far. So now I have f of x. Now I have negative 11 plus 16. So that's plus 5 is equal to. Now, by picking that 16 in such a special way, that guarantees that this is going to factor as the same thing twice. Okay, so this is going to be x and x. 16 is 4 and 4. Is it going to be pluses or minuses? Minuses. You can just get it from that middle term. If that's negative, they will both be negative. Okay, so because we have the same thing twice, that allows us to write it as x minus 4 squared. Okay, all we have to do now is get this f of x by itself. So how will I get rid of that little 5 right there? Subtract. So minus 5 minus 5. And that gives us our final answer, which is f of x equals x minus 4 squared minus 5. Now this is vertex form. Yes, okay. Now the reason why they call this a vertex form, if you remember from our last quiz, you should be able to look at this and immediately tell me what the vertex is. Okay, I hear you saying 4 comma negative 5 would be the vertex. Okay, because it's the opposite of the inside number, comma, the outside number stays the same. Now, look at what we got by doing opposite of b over 2a. Is it the same? Mm-hmm. Yes. And the directions specifically said we're supposed to, put it in vertex form, find the vertex, compare. And we see that it's the same thing. Okay? All right, so this is still number 24, part B. First, we're supposed to use our opposite of b over 2a to find the x value of the vertex. So opposite of b over 2a. A is 1, b is 26, and c, should we ever need it, is 68. So opposite of b, so that's negative 26 over 2a. Okay, so that's negative 13. Okay, so that's going to be the x value of my vertex. So my vertex is going to be negative 13 comma something. So again, if I want to find the y value that goes with that, I'm going to put this in my calculator. Okay. They're not letting me change the size now. All right, I'll play these. So it's, what's the equation? Okay, x squared
Plus 26x. What the heck?
plus
Plus 68.
minus 68
Plus.
plus 68. Okay. And I need it to start at, what was it, negative 13?
Yeah.
So I'll just start at negative 13. Okay, so that's negative 13 comma negative 101. Is that what you guys had?
The Democrats got the same.
How'd you get 101?
Let's see. X squared 2668. Okay. X squared 2668.
I didn't,
Did you type this equation into your calculator?
no, I didn't do that first.
Well, that's how you do it. Like once you get, you got negative 13, yes? Then you type the equation into the table function of your calculator. And you go to x value of negative 13 and see what you got.
Alright.
And that turns out to be negative 101. Okay, so now we're supposed to go back and do this by completing the square and make sure we get the same thing. Okay, so again, completing the square. So let me just recopy this for a second. So I've got y equals x squared plus 26x plus 68. So what's my first step going to be, you guys?
So you're gonna go subtract 68 from that side and put it over there.
All right, very good.
And then you're gonna do half of 26, which is 13.
Okay, hold on, let me catch up to you. So I've got x squared plus 26. So I'm going to go half of 26, which is 13.
Then you're gonna square that.
Then I'm going to square that, so what's that?
That's 100 and something, 68.
169.
I don't know where it's at.
Okay. What's the most common mistake that students make right here?
You don't put it on the other side. You don't.
A lot of kids forget to put it on the other side. Okay, plus 169. But you guys are not going to make that mistake tomorrow. Am I right?
Oh, I just did the math wrong on.
Well, doing the math wrong is definitely a problem in a math class. Okay, so that's going to be y plus 101. Okay, and this is going to factor as the same thing twice. X plus 13 times x plus 13. All right, of course, I could write this more easily as x plus 13 squared. So I'm just going to go straight to that. Then all I have to do is subtract 101 from both sides. So that'll give me y equals x plus 13 squared minus 101. So this should have been your vertex form. And therefore your vertex, what would your vertex be?
Negative 13, comma, negative 101.
Now, does that match what we had the last time? Yeah, that's the same thing we got the first time. So we did it. All right, and that is the end of this lesson. I hope it was helpful, and good luck.